Welcome back to the Junkyard. I'm Ian the Junkernaut, and I love to make stuff. Now, as much as I like to just make anything, I love when I get to combine that passion for making stuff with any of my other passions. And today we're going to be doing that with one of my oldest fandoms. And not only are we going to be making something for one of the coolest Marvel series, shots fired, we're also going to be making something for my all-time favorite and arguably the coolest X-Men character there is, Gambit. Now, if you're not that familiar with the character Gambit, you're not alone, and the main reason for that is he hasn't gotten a lot of love in any of the X-Men films. And while he is known for a few things, such as being in a relationship with Rogue and fighting with an extending bow staff, by far the most iconic thing about him is that he fights with playing cards.
Now, Bob, you listen to me.
But unfortunately, I'm not a mutant, and so I can't make cards or other objects explode when I throw them, but I do think that we can give ourselves a little bit of a competitive edge. Puns! Puns! The first question that we need to answer is, what are we going to make the throwing card shurikens out of? I'm definitely going to be using some steel, just because I want mine to be a little bit more robust, a little bit more of an actual weapon, although I would probably never use them for that kind of thing. Now, if you use something that's a hardened steel, a tempered steel, it's going to be very difficult to cut, but it will hold the edge much better, and it's going to be already pre-hardened, pre-tempered, so we don't need to worry about anything like that. Normally about now, we'd be having to make or print off some kind of a custom template, but in this case, we actually have a custom template right here that's pre-made for us, and it even comes with about 51 extras if you mess this one up. I'm going to be doing it the exact same way that I did on the Genji Shuriken build video, which if you want to check that out, I'll put the link up this corner, I think. Basically, we're going to be using some old circular saw blades. So they're going to hold a nice edge, and they're also extremely cheap. I think you can get a pack of like 4 of these for something like, you know, $15 or $20 if you go to Harbor Freight. Unfortunately, there's one little downside to this specific saw blade that I happen to have, and it's these air vents right here. So we're going to center it on the center of the card here on the back, and we're going to flip it over. We're going to make sure that we position it in a place where none of the card is going to be in a hole. Okay. Easy peasy. What was that joke I was going to tell earlier? Something set up, something punchline, something movie segment, something laugh. That was going to be kind of the play out. So just imagine that I inserted that there. And I kind of zoned out about keeping it centered with the diamond pattern here, so we're a little bit off. I'm going to go ahead and retrace to square it up. So there's the cleanup cuts. We'll see how small it looks when we're done. Now, if you want it to look more like a card, you're obviously going to want to kind of bevel and round the edges off. But the problem is, then it's going to have a hard time sticking, and you're going to have to make it just that much more sharp. So I think I'm going to leave mine squared off, and then I'm going to sharpen the whole thing, of course, but we can mostly focus. Don't forget to focus your grinding, especially on the tips. Let's do it! Just had an idea. I'm not sure if it's a good one or a bad one yet, but if it works, it will make it much easier for me to sand the face off of this. If I had a nickel for every time I said that. Charles, bring me another one, but this time sand the face off. Anyways, these are very strong neodymium magnets. Let's see if we put them like here. Are they gonna want to suck to each other? Science. The plate underneath of the sandpaper is actually steel as well, and so the magnetism is going through the plate into the steel. Science! On the plus side, there's no metal shavings in the air because they're all right here. Just magnetized. You see those? All that's really left now is to make this thing look a little bit more recognizable as a playing card. And since this is an X-Men Gambit themed build, it makes sense to use one of his favorite cards, which happen to be the Joker card and the Ace of Spades. But I think I'm going to start with the Joker card because it's a little bit more personal to me. If you have never noticed, my logo is actually based off of the Joker card. And I found this pack right here, which is quite a cheap pack, that I thought the background was fairly nice. Actually, I thought it was cool looking. But I liked the design on these cards a lot better. And so I'm going to use one card for the back, and we're going to glue it on, and I'm going to use one card for the face of the card. I'm going to sand off this side a little bit, give it a little bit of roughness, and make it a little bit thinner. I'm going to use some of this Loctite spray adhesive. Now, if you're a little bit more patient than me, you probably should let that dry before putting the second one on. I'm just going to go ahead and set this down and put something heavy on top of it. Speaking of really heavy things, I broke my splitting maul the other day, and so I had to buy a new one. But if you have any fun suggestions about something I could either do with this piece, the broken head, or this nice fiberglass handle here, just go ahead and post them in the comments below, and I will try and pick the best one and see if I can make that. Just enjoying some German fruitcake. I believe it's called Winternacht. It's quite tasty, actually. Well, let's see what we made. We are good enough to go ahead and trim off all the excess and sharpen it up. I did go a little bit too far with the bevel on this side, and so I took a little bit of the lettering off. But for now, I think I'm just going to go around the edge with a little bit of super glue to kind of try and really cement that onto the metal. I think I will go ahead and make another card for Gambit's second favorite card. But since you've seen the process start to finish once already, I'll just show it to you as a really quick time lapse starting now. Here, pick a card. I feel like I can hear some people saying, you know what, you're only throwing it into cardboard? I figured it could stick into wood. And of course, they can. It's just a lot more difficult. And honestly, that's just because a square or a rectangle is really not that efficient of a shape for a throwing star or a shuriken. There we go, that was a good one. So while these are some pretty fun semi-functional props, they're probably the least dangerous edged weapons I've ever made or used, which I think is okay. Thank you guys so much for checking out this fun build video. As always, I had a blast making these, and I hope you enjoyed watching it as well. Basically, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that besides the, kind of weekly build videos like these, I'm going to be filling in the gaps between those weekly builds with, some smaller projects, things that may be a little bit more vlog-based or just kind of an update about where we're at, what we're doing. So on that note, if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment below any suggestions that you have, or just share it on social media because I really, really appreciate it. At any rate, guys, that's it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I'm Ian the Junkernaut. Stay classy, and I'll see you in the next one.